The existence of cryptids has always been speculated. What are they? Are they real? If they are, where did they come from? And why haven't we found them yet? The questions are endless, and most of the time, if there is any evidence, it just makes more questions instead of giving answers to the ones that already exist. And this is the case with the Frogman from Loveland, Wisconsin. In one version of the story, there was possibly some solid evidence on its existence, but that evidence isn't anywhere where we can find it. So if that story is true, what happened to it? Hi, hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the Loveland Frogman sightings. The whole story of the Frogman is super interesting and honestly kind of confusing. There's like 4 different versions of each sighting, so the details get mixed up and it's really hard to definitely say what the full story is, but I am going to try my best. If you have like a different version of the story, or if you feel like I've left some details out, just know that like I've probably seen the details, but I only saw it in one article, and so I just didn't feel like it was necessary to point out. So I did my best to like try to give the different versions of the stories, but also try to like link them together so it's not super confusing. I don't know, it was tricky. I tried my best. And honestly, I think the confusion between all of the different sightings really pushes its cryptid story, because the whole point of a cryptid is to have tons of questions, and so the different versions of the sightings just give more questions. I think it's very fitting for the Loveland Frog to have a very confusing story. So without further ado, let's just get right into the story of the Loveland Frogman. The Loveland Frogman, also known as the Loveland Lizard, was first sighted late at night in May of 1955. On his way home from work, a businessman saw 3 figures standing on their hind legs on the side of the road. He said they were 3 to 4 feet tall, with leathery skin and frog faces. He stopped to watch them and said he saw them talking amongst each other. In some versions of the story, the frogmen were on or under a bridge, and one of the creatures held up a stick that shot out a spray of sparks when he noticed the man watching them. The next sightings of the frog were 20 years later in 1972. On March 3rd, Loveland police officer Ray Shockey was driving along Riverside Drive near the Totes Boot Factory on the Little Miami River when an animal ran in front of his vehicle. He said it was 3 to 4 feet tall with leathery skin, and that it was crouched like a frog before standing up to climb over the guardrail. 2 weeks later, a second officer named Mark Matthews reported seeing another unidentified animal crouched on the side of the road in the same area as Shockey's sighting. Now this is where the details of these sightings gets a little muddy. In one version of Mark's sighting, he shot the creature and killed it, put it in his trunk, and was able to bring it to Shockey, who confirmed it was the same thing he'd seen 2 weeks earlier. In another version, Mark just shot at it and didn't kill it, and it ran away. Now later on, Mark would say that the media just blew the story out of proportion, and that what he and Shockey saw was just a large pet iguana that either got out or was released. But if the first version of Mark's account is true, then there was a physical specimen of the Frogman that just didn't have pictures taken of it and wasn't given to a scientist or anything. The body not being photographed or taken in as a sample could be because it was just a released pet, or if you want to get really conspiracy theorist tinfoil hat, then the corpse was either disposed of under the order of their boss, or the news of the creature got to some underground government group that took it and made sure no pictures were taken of it because of some larger conspiracy or something. I don't know. I didn't think too much about that, but it is something that could have happened maybe. And maybe they just told Mark to say it was a lizard and not that it was a weird frog person thing. Now that is only if the first version of Mark's story is true. If the second version is true, then there is simultaneously more and less questions. But those aren't the last sightings of the Loveland Frogman. There's one more sighting that happened in 2016 when Sam Jacobs and his girlfriend were playing Pokemon Go in mid-August at night near Lake Isabella when they saw a large frog near the water. He said it stood up on its hind legs and walked around, and it was about 4 foot tall, just like all of the other sightings. There's even a picture that is said to be connected to the sighting too. But this one is widely suspected to be a hoax, because like photos can be easily faked. But I don't know, any sighting of anything can be faked, and I feel like if it's just with words, it can be faked even easier. So I'm on the side that this sighting is probably real, because the picture looks cool, and that's the only reason. Also, this is kind of off topic, but when I was reading about this sighting, One website specified that playing Pokemon Go wasn't a euphemism for anything. And like, what? Since when has playing Pokemon Go ever been used as a euphemism for anything? There's Netflix and chill, but playing Pokemon Go, I've never heard of that one. And I'm online a lot. Maybe I just haven't been on the right side of the internet, but I have never heard playing Pokemon Go being used as a euphemism. Super off topic, but I had to point it out because it made me laugh. Anyway, so the main theory of what the Frogman could be is just an escaped pet lizard or iguana. This is corroborated by Mark, who said that the media just blew the story out of proportion. But a lizard doesn't really match the description of a bipedal creature. Things that stand on two legs are pretty distinct, and it's like really obvious when an animal that's supposed to be on all fours is standing on two legs. So it's really hard for me to believe that someone could mistake a lizard for a 4-foot-tall frogman. Also, I don't know how long lizards live, but for a lizard to live from the 1950s to 2016 that's a really long time for a lizard to live. So I don't know if they could live that long. And especially when in Shocky's sighting, the creature was fully in the headlights of his car, so he probably got a really good look at it. And in the first sighting, the businessman sat and watched them. So if he saw what was a group of lizards, you'd think that after watching them for a bit, you'd figure it out. But regardless of that, a giant lizard is the main theory of what the Loveland Frogman is. And the other theories are the usual ones, like it's an alien or a deer standing up. The alien one would help explain the version of the first sighting where one of the creatures had a stick that fired sparks. The stick could have been some kind of alien technology or something. Or it could have just been like a Roman candle, because it's a stick that shoots out sparks, which is literally just a Roman candle, or like a sparkler. And frog people can have fireworks too, so it's not like it's just a human thing. But what do you think? Is there some sort of government conspiracy here with the second sightings? Or maybe it is just like a giant lizard, or maybe it's just a frog person that really likes fireworks. I don't know. Either way, the whole story is very interesting. It's fun to think about and come up with theories for. I personally think there's a bit of a cover-up going on here, just because that's kind of fun. Like, the government doesn't want us finding out that frog people are real, because then we would figure out that lizard people are real. Everybody knows that lizard people rule the world. So it makes sense that they want to cover up other kinds of reptilian people so we don't figure out their secret, Anyways, share your theories in the comments, and if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on my next video, and I will see you next week. Bye bye!